Pa's up in the house, I guess, huh?
Oh, Jimmy, Pa died over a year ago.
Oh, that's a real shame. I'm sure sorry, honey. Who's taking care of the place?
Oh, I've a hired hand, Charlie. He's in town for a week.
That's awful, you're being alone like this, honey. Oh, it sure is good to see you again.
Why didn't you write to me?
Oh, I couldn't. I was moving around a lot. You know how it is.
Yes, I know how it is, but do you? Jimmy, after a while, I gave up hoping, and then I just stopped dreaming.
I didn't stop. That's the only thing that kept me going. And I'm gonna make up all that lost time to you.
Jimmy, I don't think you can. I just don't think you can.
Let me try.
Ben, I've known you for a long time. But I can't accept these charges you make against Captain Bolton, not without proof.
Well, what more proof do you want?
Well, at the moment, it's your word against his.
That's right. Well, what did he tell you? That Mertz was trying to escape?
That's what he says in his report.
Well, have you spoken to Mertz? Have you heard his side of the story?
I would have done so, of course. Unfortunately, Private Mertz is dead.
Dead?
He attacked a guard in the stockade last night. During the ensuing struggle, he was killed.
And you believe that? You really believe that? Colonel, how many men have died in Captain Bolton's stockade?
Captain Bolton is an officer with a distinguished record, Ben. Commended several times for bravery in action. Perhaps you noticed his hand. He was captured and tortured by the Sioux.
The Sioux are savages. Captain Bolton, I presume, is a civilized, responsible person.
Come in.
Adams, yo, Boyd, right?
The colonel sent for me?
You know Mr. Cartwright?
Yes, sir, I do.
Captain Bolton, Mr. Cartwright has made certain charges against you. I thought you should be here to defend yourself.
I'm aware of Mr. Cartwright's charges. I'm sure the colonel knows my behavior has been and always will be strictly according to Army regulations.
Colonel, I've never heard of any Army regulations that cover the killing of prisoners.
Mr. Cartwright, maybe you don't know whom you're defending. Private Mertz killed a fellow soldier in a brawl over a card game. As for Sutton, he attempted an armed robbery of an Army payroll.
Ben, this is a casuals post. I don't know whether you realize that it's made up of outcasts and misfits.
They're still men. And as such, they're entitled to certain minimum standards of treatment.
Ben, I respect your opinion and your judgment, but this is the Army, and I have to stand behind Captain Bolton.
Yes. Yes. I understand. Good day, Colonel.
Good day, Ben.
Thank you, sir.
Captain, I chose my words carefully in front of Mr. Cartwright. But your conduct has been brought into question. If there's the slightest indication of any transgression of regulations on your part, I'll see that you're investigated. And if the facts so warrant, court-martialed. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
That's all.
With the colonel's permission, I beg leave to return to the Ponderosa with a detail of men.
Well, that's private land. We can't search it without permission of the owner. Or an order from a civilian court.
I have already obtained the required court order from the Federal District Court of this territory.
Request granted. But if I were you, Captain, I'd remember that warning I gave you. I'd remember it very carefully.
Sir.
That was great, honey. Nothing like a good meal to make a man feel like he belongs.
Thank you. Well, you haven't touched your food.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I've spent too much time eating army chow.
Army chow?
Well, he was in the Army, too, before we started prospecting. Who's that?
I don't know who it could be at this hour.
Netta, honey, would you do me a big favor? Don't say anything about Tyler and me being here.
Well, why not?
Well, we just hit a big silver strike, maybe, and it's best nobody knows about it. Not yet. Oh. You understand.
Well, good morning, Hoss.
Morning, ma'am. You sure do look nice in your new dress and all.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I don't want to worry you none, but Paul thought you ought to know about it. There's some Army prisoners loose.
Army prisoners?
Yes, there was 3 of them, but they ain't 2 now. One of them's already been caught.
Oh. Well, thank you very much, Hoss.
Ma'am, everything's all right here, ain't it? I mean, there ain't been nobody around here.
No. I'd ask him for coffee, but my stove, it's not working right.
Well, ma'am, I'll be happy to
No,
fix it.
Hoss. It's not broken. It's just hard to handle. But thank you very much, Hoss.
Ma'am, you right sure everything's all right?
Yes, Hoss.
Morning.
Is he going? You can never be sure about people, honey. We heard about them Army prisoners, too. It might have been one of them.
Might have been. Just exactly where have you been prospecting?
Well, up north a piece. Ain't that right, Tyler?
Sutton. Yeah, I guess it is if you say so.
Sure, it's right. What's got into you?
Jimmy? Is it you they're looking for? Is it? I guess it is.
But I was framed. Honey, you know me. I was wild, but I never did anything dishonest. And I tried to serve out my time. But you don't know what that stockade was like. Beatings, starvation. There was a captain got his fun by kicking us around. You know what happened to him? He was in a sweatbox for 3 weeks. When they brought him out, he was almost dead. Tell her!
Yeah, that part's true.
Why didn't you tell me all this last night?
I was going to. I was afraid.
Of me? You were afraid of me?
That's what Captain Bolton does to you. He makes you feel like an animal all the time, and you're scared. Netta, if you love me, Netta, if you love me, you help us.
What can I do?
Hide us out.
Oh, Sutton. Why do you have to drag her into this? Why don't we just get out while we can?
To where? They got Mertz. That means Bolton thinks we're heading out of here. We're going to stay here. It's our only chance.
Yes, you can stay here. Both of you. I want you to.
I knew I could count on you.
Thank you, Miss Netta.
Well, I don't know, Paul. She seemed all right. It was just that she was kind of nervous like or something.
You mean by her not letting you in the place?
Well, that and it was just a feeling I got. I don't know how to explain it. If I didn't know Miss Netta better, I'd think she was trying to get rid of me or something.
Well, if things didn't seem right, why don't you have a good look around the place?
I kicked myself all the way home for not doing just that, little brother.